Yeah.
Ready? Oh, baby! We are live!
We're in it.
Kevin, what's happening?
I don't know. That's tonight. What is happening?
Everything's happening.
Oh my gosh. Fans of FC Cincinnati have been begging and begging and begging for some action, and looks like it all happened tonight after about 7:30.
Should we start with what just happened, or should we start with what the Post broke first, including
Well,
you, editor in chief of said Post?
we should start with what we know. We should start with what we know, which is FC Cincinnati is going to be bringing in Brazilian striker Brenner. So you know he is Brazilian because he's only got one name. We'll only call him Brenner. And depending on exactly how the numbers shake out and some incentives, it looks like FCC could have broken the MLS transfer record with bringing him in close to $15 million for this transfer. It's wild. Oh no. Well, long story short, FC Cincinnati signing a Brazilian striker for what could possibly be the league transfer fee record. So wild times.
Those were the wild times. We thought nothing could get wilder, and we were hearing words of a whole different person, a possible second signing. We were juicing up. We were trying to funnel it down between a few different people, and then Cincinnati Soccer Talk felt so left out that they got scooped when they probably knew the same scoop. They tweet out that we are going after or have a deal somewhat in place for PT Martinez. He of the underwhelming massive signing for Atlanta United a couple years ago, who's now playing in Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
And he loved the juice of MLS. He wanted a taste. So he was like, I'll get back, and I'll literally come back with any team. And we were like, any team? And we perked up real big. And what else did they say? But apparently there's not a done deal because we're 14th in the allocation process or something. That's what Laurel just tweeted.
Yeah. It looks like it's going to come down to that allocation order, since he was a large transfer out of the league. And I believe it is Austin who has that top spot right now. So if we want it, we got to be dealing with Anthony Precourt, of all people.
Hey, we're cool with Precourt.
We love Precourt.
But I guess we're cool with Columbus now, too. We're not allowed to talk shit on them on a real level. Right.
Congratulations, Columbus.
Absolutely. Well, what we've been so hyped for the last few hours about this Brazilian we know hardly anything about, but he has those welcome to Ajax videos, welcome to, so he's been slightly lusted after by other teams, and we got him. We should focus on him because that's what we've been stewing on the longest, but this is one of those great moves because it's really seemed to upset the Brazilians. They probably have no idea where Cincinnati is. I don't blame them. Why should you know where Cincinnati is? Not only that, but then they look up Cincinnati. They do a quick Google. They see we're the worst team in this league that they think is already shit. And that he's, he had European prospects, and now he's coming to FC Cincinnati. And that's just got to sting your Brazil Yoga Bonito heart to see that a promising Brazilian is coming to Cincinnati. I mean, how does it feel for you? Do you enjoy the Schaden? I don't know if that is Schadenfreude, but I like it.
I'm all for it. I mean, that's like the first place you go to tell if your signing is good is if the fans of the team they're coming from are mad or if they're happy. And it feels like the entire country of Brazil is pretty pissed off at this move. So that's got to be a great sign. Like that's a good indication there.
One thing on Twitter, someone who is not impressed by this possible transfer fee is, I guess, the guy who does valuations for Transfer Market US. Somebody said he was full of shit or something. He mentioned libels. He's getting a little Trumpian on him, and he was like, "This guy's not worth anything more than $2 to $3 million," which whatever. But I thought that was pretty funny. And basically, you're worth whatever we'll pay. So if we pay $13 million, then by God, this guy's worth $13 billion. What do you think, Kevin?
Oh, that's exactly it. And it comes down to what the club values the player at. Because, we just had the European window close where Ajax was offering allegedly a bunch of money. It's up to that club to sell him. And if they didn't feel like any of the offers they were getting were high enough, well, then it lets you say, oh, he's really cheap, even though, the club wasn't going to move for less than $10 million or whatever. So I think the guy was trying a little too hard in the Twitter threads there. He was really going after people when
he's got his valuation and he's sticking to it apparently.
Right.
Respect the game.
Just sit back and let your website speak for itself. Like
I always took him with a grain of salt.
We think FCC's overpaying. Right.
They can't really know all these tens of thousands of players true value, and we're proving what the true value is. Plus, I was joking. I don't want to be like one of these cucked SEC fans who was like, we don't deserve to have a good player. But I mean, you would think,
right?
I guess the money talks, and the Brazilian team doesn't care where he goes. So really, you shouldn't have to overpay because we're MLS. You maybe have to overpay a salary if a player doesn't want to come here. But I guess the transfer fee, it really shouldn't matter. They don't care who it is. I mean, unless I'm sure they want to slightly do right by the player, but in the scheme of things, no. Whoever has the highest bid, and the European transfer window, incoming window is closed, so options were limited. What did you see from his highlights? Because I would say they're fine, but unlike some others, he's young. He is Brazilian. He's got potential.
He's not lighting the world on fire. You're not seeing a bunch of amazing shots where you go like, oh my God, this is the guy. But at the same time, like, he's always in the right position. He's always there for a good poaching goal. And his production, his stats speak for themselves. He's scored in pretty close to every other match he's played for Sao Paulo. And Sao Paulo has been a team, at least this year, that's been challenging for the Brazilian title. Like, he's not playing for a bad team and picking up garbage goals. Like, he's contributing to a really good team here. And I believe I have this right. He was at the under-17 World Cup where he scored like 6 goals in 6 games. Like, that is the kind of production in a youth World Cup that normally would send you, straight to at least, the Dutch leagues or a Portuguese team or something like that. So he definitely has the stats to back it up. But yeah, the highlight reel, I could add a little more sizzle.
He's saving it for the league, baby. That's all I'm thinking. I already saw somebody on FCC's Bailey Facebook or whatever that already saying, I'd rather them spread the money around than spend all this money on one player. And I was like, I went full Kevin. I was like, it doesn't matter. They could spend 10 million. They could spend 100 million. Once you cross that threshold, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you think he's not going to spend like, the Gam and Tam stuff is irrelevant if we're signing a DP. Just give him whatever it takes. And, we don't pocket watch Carl. If Carl wants to spend his money during the pandemic, we also got that COVID relief money. In the middle of a pandemic, Ohio gave us like $30 million or some million dollars.
So they gave FCC $16 million, and we just spent roughly $15 million getting this guy.
What else do you want? I mean, it's nice that we're spending the money. I mean,
yes,
they're doing all you ask. And it was only yesterday, 2 days before, there's numerous people calling for the heads of anyone associated with FC Cincinnati. You could feel the anxiety. And even though I knew, not by this, I knew that a lot of teams haven't signed anyone, and other reporters have talked about the lack of signings. It still doesn't really help because you just, like, someone made a counter showing how long it's been since we've signed a player. Things like
who would do that?
Your anxiety just raises. You're like, are we ever gonna fucking sign someone? Then you finally are like, something tangible. I mean, Papu would have been insane, but at the end, it always felt like a pipe dream.
I mean, he definitely isn't the established star that Papu is, that, somebody with a proven track record. But in terms of finances, this is as big, if not bigger. I believe it was a $10 million offer for Papu was the last number we threw out there. 15 million. I mean, this is a huge, huge signing. And especially, I mean, if people are worried about spreading the money around, you can take this with you. Since this guy is young enough, he will be considered a young DP, which still counts as one of the 3 DPs. But basically, the charge against the salary cap. So DPs still count against your salary cap, but up to a maximum amount, which is somewhere around $600,000 for the season. Because he's a young DP, and he's particularly young for that, I believe his cap charge is only $200,000. So if you're looking at it in terms of what a DP gets you, he actually saves the team $400,000, and that's where you can go out and get another player like Camo or a Matarrita. That's that range of player that you're basically saving by him being this young. So this is a really good move by FCC.
Yeah, because young DP, you're always like, this kind of proves it. You're like, well, unproven DP for the most part. And but that's fine. I think all the fans wanted, we're so fickle. We just need one thing to give you a little hope. A one-word Brazilian name. It's done. We don't know who he is. It doesn't matter who he is. We know he's valued at the minimum 2 to 3 million, the maximum 15 million. But whatever it is, that's enough to get us fucking hyped. I know it is for me. And we had heard that they had another player in mind, and so we're scrambling to find that second player because we still all want the number 10, the central midfielder who's going to unlock all this stuff. And we had a lot of ideas in mind, and none of them, I promise, none of them, apparently besides CST and whoever told them, nobody had fucking PT Martinez. Did you even know that him coming back to the MLS was like a thing at all?
No. It's wild. Like, he was transferred just a few months ago. I have it up here. Okay, September of 2020. Like, he's not been gone all that long. And Al Nassr paid a ton of money for him. It went for like 18
million, I think.
18 million. Insane numbers. So the fact that there's the possibility that he would leave, set aside transfer fees and anything like that, just the fact that he would come back and then not want to come back to Atlanta is just wild.
I feel like,
if he's going to be the 10, if he's going to be the 10, this team could be incredible. Now, worth pointing out, PT Martinez wasn't that great at Atlanta. He definitely underperformed, but this is a weird move right now. And I don't know, maybe he comes back relatively cheap. Like, what happens?
I would say he came in as like the most highly touted signing besides like a super vet European player that the MLS has had. And he was replacing Almiron, who was one of the best MLS players for a year ever. So in that respects, he failed dismally, of course, to live up to that. But he was okay. I think if he's, obviously we're not going to pay GAM money for him, but if he was a GAM player who you didn't know on some other MLS team, you'd say he was a really good 10. And I think that would be amazing for us. So I feel like even Atlanta, let's say he underperformed there, that level is still going to be like so much higher than whatever we were possibly. Right. Well, we had nothing, obviously, but like a level above the creativity we had last year. Even
remember, the bar he has to clear is De Jong, right? So like, if he can beat Sim De Jong's production, which was 0 goals and 0 assists across like 800 minutes, he's an improvement. And it's worth pointing out, like, it was probably a big culture shock for him to come to Atlanta in the first year. It's pretty much a tired trope at this point that big signings tend to struggle in their first year in MLS. And then his second year was 2020 Atlanta, which fired Frank de Boer, who was struggling, the bubble, and then them coming back, and then losing Joseph Martinez. So he had to kind of play a larger role in a way, in positions that maybe didn't best fit him. It wasn't a great 2 years for him anyway. Maybe he comes back to MLS, maybe a little more experience, maybe happy to get out of the Middle East, and he's a totally different player, and FCC can benefit from that.
And at the worst, like you said, still better than Siem. There's no way. There's no way he's not better than De Jong. But
one assist and it's all been worth it.
He's like, I'll come back to MLS, just please, no Dutch system. Like, nobody tell him the coaches. But maybe this is just a thing to stick it to his old coach.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to play for another Dutch guy. It seems like, I don't know, Frank de Boer and Jaap Stam would hate each other based on nothing. I don't know. Sure, there's a rivalry there.
Like, there's like all of the like Dutch national team guys who have gone on to be managers all apparently hate each other. Like De Boer and Van Gaal had an infamous rivalry with each other. I can't imagine Stam is best friends with all these guys. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me one bit.
So we poured all our heart into Brenner. I've called him Brennan in my head several times because I was making Brennan jokes, and now it's like, no, get it right. It's Brenner. So I have to parse it, but like in your mind, who's going to be the more important player next year if PT Martinez and this Brenner is on the team? We were all Brenner for 4 glorious hours after the Post Cincinnati broke the news. We're not getting the numbers on the tweet, but we broke the news first. But if PT is the signing, that's a toss-up because the other guy's kind of a mystery, and we know we needed a 10.
Yeah, I think what happens with Locadia kind of determines who the more important player
who?
is. Right. I mean, you'd assume at this point the team would move on from Locadia. There's been multiple rumors now of us moving him on to or him moving on to a team in Israel now. The team just signed a striker, which was his position. So you usually don't keep a designated player on the bench. But Locadia has also played regularly on the wing, and the team did put him out on the left wing multiple times towards the end of last year. So I think if you keep Locadia and Brenner is there, then Pity Martinez is the most important player. If Pity doesn't show up, or if Locadia does move on, I think Brenner's your guy. He becomes the main player on the team just because of how poorly Locadia and the striker position and goal scoring generally for FCC went last year. I mean, he's the guy who's going to score you goals. A 10 or not, you'd assume some combination of Medunjanin, Camo, Amaya can pass the ball forward to a competent striker. So I think Brenner becomes your more important player at that point.
Let's refresh our soccer. People were a little shocked to see we made this move. Must be the Skyline Chili from a non-Cincinnati person. Apparently this is true. Kind of strange. He could have gone to a decent, good European club. What makes it stranger is Cincinnati is the worst team in MLS. I said, damn, dude, only if you focus on results and goals. Chill. Oh, man. So, people, I don't think, who can blame us? Since they have only been around 2 seasons, finished dead last in the league both years, and are now about to drop one of the biggest spending fees ever for a player. Fascinating. Yeah. The fuck.
Also, we've been around 5 years. Okay. USL still counts, guys.
That's what happens when they split these fucking nerds. They split the wiki pages. So you have the USL team here and the MLS here, blah, blah, blah. What else?
Which is so annoying about the Wikipedia thing, because if it's about the legal entity, then the Columbus Crew Wikipedia page should be about Austin and the new Columbus Crew team from 2019 on should be its own page. But no, the legal entity doesn't count then.
I'm sure there's been some spirited online debates between the nerdiest people in the world.
And people forget, like, FCC, yes, okay, wasn't lighting the world on fire the first 2 years of MLS. But if you do account for those 5 years, FCC has a history of being the big spenders. Going out and getting John Harkes was a big move. I doubt he was expensive necessarily, but he was a big move for USL, and they went out and got a bunch of guys with MLS experience. And then, of course, the 2018 team where they broke the bank and tried to build a NASL USL All-Star team to win the league. Like, they didn't need to do that. If there was 1 year to cheap out, it was the year everybody was focusing on MLS. And then in the last 2 years, they built a world-class training facility and what we assume will be a world-class stadium. So, I mean, this team is known for spending a lot of money. I just feel like people shouldn't be shocked that they're doing it. And if you look at the pockets or the pocketbooks of these owners, SAC has one of the deepest ownership groups in sports, period. Like, put them up against your average NBA or even NFL owner, and between Carl and Megan, etc., they're right up there with the wealthiest group. So there's no reason to think this team wouldn't spend eventually.
I'm going on our soccer right now, and I'm saying, have you forgotten about the USL? Like, the what? The what?
Tyler Gibson wasn't cheap, all right?
Will Seymour is playing in the Champions League.
People forget Tommy Heineman, I think, was the NASL MVP the year before. So
Warpig says, kind of
a big deal.
Apparently the answer to the smell question was money. Agreed. What happens with Cruz and Kubo? I guess, well, Cruz, he doesn't need to go anywhere.
No. Keep them. Why would you think about this? You
kill the depth as soon as we sign two players. Cut all the depth.
We drafted some kids, right? In the 8th round of the MLS draft, they'll be our back.
Calvin Harris is like,
no, you can pay down.
He's like,
Calvin Harris is Googling what USL teams look good right now. But you can imagine. So Kubo and Cruz both have TAM contract or DP contracts that are within range to where you can buy them down to where they are no longer DPs. I don't know exactly how much TAM or GAM FCC has, but presumably they could do this with both these guys.
Buy them down.
Why not? If you do that, you could have a team with Lacadia, Brenner, this mysterious winger that might still be out there.
Oh.
Pitti, Cruz, Kubo, Amaya, Harris, Camo, Matarita, Joe Zhao as a right back. I guess why not?
I like two signings, and it's like it's just two more, but it's like we're absolutely stacked.
We're stacked. We got Vander. Right, defense needs to work. We still need another center back.
No, we need to score goals. Oh, interesting question from Eric with a K here. Do you think this would be a good time to bring back Andy Craven as a depth piece? The question is, are 5 subs going to be a part of the league? Because could use him as like a playoff, like a hockey shift.
Yeah,
sub him back.
We need
out. He's just.
I mean, he's an enforcer if we're doing hockey. So,
B Stanley 51 says playoffs. I don't need to ask Kevin. Of course, playoffs. Are you kidding me? The question is home field advantage. What? Of course. Give me a break.
I just want to know who we're playing in that second round after we get the bye.
Absolutely. Sky's the limit. This immediately after hearing this PT news, I assumed this other player we had been bandying about. I was like, okay, well that's not happening. But if it is happening, we'll be fucking amazing. I mean, either one of the well, no. There was one who was more of a winger and one who was more of a 10, if what we heard was possibly correct. So the 10 doesn't make as much sense anymore, but if we got that possible winger, oh baby. And
yeah, see that was the math I was doing. We had it narrowed down between two players, and then when Pitti was announced, one of them no longer made sense, and the other one was the much more expensive one.
True, but
certainly
he's more valuable, but apparently out of contract. So all we have to do is pay his
contract.
salary.
Which means no transfer fee, which means you could sign him to a 5-year deal, spread that money out, make him not a DP. I don't know how much he'd
How do we get through the allocation process? No, not tonight. Not tonight.
No, we wouldn't need him as long as we have discovery rates. All right, I'm done.
Is it young DP and 3 regular DPs, or is the young DP count the same? He just doesn't cost as much.
Yeah, it's like it's a flavor of one of your 3 DPs.
Okay. So yeah, it does make, well, this all depends is if this other person becomes available. It's like then Loca's possible spot on the wing seems redundant. Although I don't know which side this guy who looks like Neymar plays on.
Right.
So Barreal is on one side, and then
you end up in a situation where Barreal is your depth piece on the right and Kubo's your depth piece on the left. You'd have the new winger on the right, Licati on the left, Brenner up top with Kovacic or Vasquez backing up, but in reality, it'd be Licati, and you just bump Kubo up to the wing. That would be the best attacking 6 in MLS. We'd give LAFC a good run for their money in terms of attacking depth. And then the midfield with Pitti and Amaya as your box-to-box destroyer, and Mocha Joe as your sort of deep-lying playmaker, pace keeper. There's something there. Matarrita on the left.
Killing off Harris? I guess, yeah, if Frankie's as valuable as we think he is, and we just brought in Mocha Joe, it seems weird, but Harris was one of our best players.
He was. I mean, you got to assume the dude will fall off at some point, right? Like he's gone like 2 years now playing almost every minute in MLS.
Well, he doesn't have his legs anymore. We've proven that. Right. So he's just playing around that. He's not Pirlo, but like Pirlo, it's like he wasn't chasing anybody down at some point. Yeah, that just shows how it's a lot, but how little makes a big difference. You look at the roster without them. I mean, you try to talk yourself and others into it, but you're like, it's one of those things where you're like, you talk yourself into the roster, and then you see it for 5 minutes. You're like, fuck. Of course, this is still shitty. And you can still say that now.
Why would Kubo and Lacadia work again? Like, why would I tell myself that?
They'll just be better because it's a different year. But yeah, like you say, best front 6 and the game starts, like, we're fucking terrible. It doesn't matter who we bring in here. But that's why the offseason's fantastic, because as of now, yes, it's all sunshine and roses. Do we only have...
I was making the point... I was making this point to some folks over in Discord that Bengals fans going into this NFL season were convinced that the worst team in the NFL with an unproven head coach and a lack of depth at every position and tons of guys hurt were going to go to the playoffs, I guess, with one new quarterback. And if you can talk yourself into that, I feel like Brenner should get you into the playoffs, no problem. We don't even need anybody else.
I mean, if he hits, it sounds fucking stupid, but if he hits, then I mean, everything changes. Right now, we just haven't had any of these guys really hit at all. Like, at the best, you can say Kubo had his moments. Loca's talented. Like, we're gonna be talking about his talent like when he's 50 years old. Like, but the talent, my God, the talent was there. Like, it doesn't matter. It's like, we got Josh Gordon on our football team. Like, it doesn't matter how talented he is. He's not he's not scoring touchdowns for you. But we just need one of these guys that hits, and that's why Papu was so exciting, because I felt like that was a lock. You're like, well, he's gonna be good no matter what. This new guy, we'll have to see him play. PT, we know he's better than Sim De Jong, so we've got at least that. And and we got a new kit coming, so they're all gonna look fresh. The Heritage kit, I'm so glad that's out. The bad Mocha Jomo is gone with that, and we'll have some fresh threads, and we'll leak that tomorrow just to really upset FC.
Right.
you have nothing. You have nothing.
Steal all their moments, all their glory.
Let's check. I gotta check Twitter real fast. Make sure have we not missed anything else that's been going on anymore. Let's see. Oh, Brad and Brian, they're rolling in it now. You know, they felt so left out after the Brenner stuff, and they knew they had PT in their back pocket. And look at them now. Eric, fuck you. The heritage is garbage. Ever selling new merch? Yeah. God, this is new banners. This is new T-shirts. This is it's opened up a whole new world. The Brenner feels like it's got puns in it. I've just been too frazzled by everything going on to have
Brenner,
thought of any so
I mean,
far.
my mind immediately goes to breakfast for dinner. So that's Brenner for me. That's what we always called it in this household.
Brenner.
Brenner, yeah.
Oh, that's rough.
It's like brunch, but for dinner.
So tomorrow, this will all be hilarious if like the CBA talks break down at the last minute. They're like lockout strike. You're like, guys, you don't understand. FCC's signing 2 new players. But secretly, the evil in me has been kind of hoping for some kind of delayed work stoppage and push the season back. But they wouldn't do that. They just play like 5 games a week. But I don't want to be playing until we can all be together at the new stadium. But that's a selfish reasoning. But now, we got a reason to watch. We got a reason to care. Several of the players who ripped up their season tickets, who had bought them and printed them out, and then just so they could rip them, they're gonna be gluing them back together tonight. I don't know. Any other thoughts, Kevin? We need to touch on. I want to look. I'll find a couple while you do that. I'll find a couple Brazilian thoughts because I know there was some good stuff out there earlier. People who just could not believe what was happening.
Those tweets are so good. So, I mean, I said it before on Knifey Lion Radio. Like, this team had an average defense and one of the worst offenses ever last year. And if you could just give this team an average offense to go with an average defense, they could have made the playoffs. And I think a $15 million Brazilian wonder kid as your striker feels like a good move towards better offense. We'll see what happens with Lacadia. We know he's got the talent, right? So
he's full of talent.
Maybe he shows it off a little bit this year, and then you throw Pity Martinez in this midfield and a new veteran winger out on the right. I mean, this offense will be flying into high gear. Teams, I hope, will be terrified to play us and will bunker and not even get that many chances to attack. I mean, this team could overwhelm some people, and that would be incredible.
Wait till we get a real schedule where we play all you losers, not just the good teams. Fuckers.
Yeah. As good as I feel about the team with the potential of Pity and Brenner and a couple of other signings, somebody posted the Columbus Crew starting lineup and depth chart, and that team looks intense, man. That's a good.
It's the cup hangover. I haven't looked it up, but besides the Sounders, but team who wins the next year, it's bad news.
Right.
Kevin, when we started this, I checked the PT post on Reddit. MLS, it was at 17 comments. I refreshed. We're at 90. People are not believing what's happening. I'm sure most of all Atlanta fans are like, excuse me, pardon? Mm-hmm. So to summarize, in case you've not been listening or for some reason just tuned in, haven't checked Facebook, FCC's signing Brenner. He's got more names, but he goes by Brenner. From Sao Paulo, we probably didn't even mention it, in the Brazilian First Division, for what could be a near record signing. And it looks like it'll be announced officially tomorrow from all we assume. It had to get pushed back a little bit. They teased it today with the Brazilian stuff. And, it was inevitable that the people would find a way to get this information out, and they did. And now we're rejoicing. So that's good. So, and then, since CST breaks that, we're attempting to, once we get past the archaic MLS rules, to sign PT Martinez from Saudi Arabia for what has to be a lot of money if they sold if they paid $18 million for him, they're not gonna give him up for not much. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. The offense getting better. Kevin, you want to say one thing about our defensive, possibly center back situation before we head off? Can we compete?
We could use another center back. Pedersen and Hagelin
should have drafted one. Now I'm thinking.
Pedersen and Hagelin looked okay at the end of last year, but you'd feel a lot better with with some reinforcements there. And it's not terribly deep, even if you were going to roll with those guys. If one gets hurt,
who's the next backup?
Your next backup is Vanderwerf. Then can play anywhere on the back line, but probably not great anywhere on the back line. So he's kind of your jack of all trades backup. So it gets real thin real quick.
It's real white back there. Real white. Call it rotation pieces. We got a lot of those, though. I'll feel good about, let's get one massive upgrade. Is Waston? I think Waston could do well on this team. Could we get him back from Saprissa or whatever? That'd be nice.
He's killing it in Costa Rica right now. His team's on a roll.
Yeah, Zach has a good point. Maybe Zico in the middle, show what he can do. Maybe he could make up for. Hopefully, he has a good vertical. Make up for the lack of height.
Yeah, I think Zico's more of a right back. I think him and
he's a floater.
Zhao.
He's a floater. Maybe Zhao too, and center back. You said, yeah, absolutely.
Why not?
Discord shout out. Discord, you've been great. You've been going all day long, even when Slack has been quiet. Discord's still going, and if anyone was quiet today in any of your chats, wherever you are, if DI is still doing 15 messages a day on their Slack, pathetic. Because today is a day to absolutely explode, and it's we put up with all this shit for a couple of random days like this where it's only good. Nothing bad has happened yet. All we have is the positive idea of what is to come. And that's great. People are still dying in the streets, but we have this to hang on to right now. So, Kevin, you had some optimism last time I talked to you on the podcast, and it was forced. Now we have some real optimism. So what's your final thoughts on the madness that was a random Thursday in February?
West End Stadium will host a playoff match in 2021.
Because the Cruise Stadium isn't ready.
Because they needed a neutral site and they liked Cincinnati.
Someone says, what's the deal with Will Forbes? Guess what? Hot take. Fuck Will Forbes. I don't give a fuck. He was dead right and he's still a bitch. Fake ass. Put your real name on there, Will Forbes. Sounding all monetarily inclined. Yeah, at the end of the day, even a blind squirrel catches a nut once in a while. He'll hang this over. That's the problem with this. He'll have this forever. And he had it before pretty much anyone, from what I could tell. He definitely was the first to speak on it.
I wonder if he knew the name, though. Because I feel like if he knew the name, he'd go out with the name, right? He just said signing, which means
he said young DP signing.
He did say
so. That was pretty narrow, to be honest.
He did.
If it was a random signing, then you could have that and be like young DP. Like that's a hyper specific. And we went. That's exactly what happened. So obviously, he's got some friend in high places, and I'm guessing that's the most information they give him. But there's no reason we should have believed him. But
no,
good for him, I guess. And now he'll be even more insufferable, and people will be like, "Well, remember that he got that right." And that's just what we have to deal with. My final thoughts. I'm saying this like it's a podcast, not a live stream. Wow, I should have recorded this and I could have put it up as a podcast, but I wasn't that. I wasn't that smart. Just magic. Just a magical day. I've been ignoring my kids the entire day. Completely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And
you have to.
It just brought me back to all those times that I've had to do that in the past. I'm like, we're signing someone. I'm like, Dad, what are you looking at the TV or on the computer? Like, you wouldn't understand. It's a meme about Gerard. Like, who? What? Like, I don't have time. Things are happening. To FCC, sorry you guys couldn't be the one to break it, but hopefully tomorrow you get to bask in a little of the joy that we've all gotten to experience. So, Monday, I mean, other podcasts might talk about these moves, but I think we've covered it all, so there's nothing else to say. You might as well close up shop. Kevin, thank you for joining me when no one else had the courage to address the joy in the room.
No problem. Happy to jump on every time FCC breaks their transfer record, which was Leo Bertoni, by the way, before this.
Pardon?
So pretty big upgrade.
Yeah, well, from young boys to fucking swole men. That's how we roll. All right, everybody. Thanks for thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And let's get back on Twitter and let's keep memeing our way through the night. Nobody sleeps. All-nighter. We stay awake until it's official. God bless America. Wear your masks. See you later.
Onwards and upwards.